Hello. Oh, wait. Oh, shoot. I didn't update the stream information. It still probably says I'm playing Arena. Let me just fix that real quick. Stream information. Stream information. Lucky Wednesday. No, it's not Lucky Wednesday. It is. Thank you. Note Thursday. Thank you, Note Thursday. There we go. Okay. All right, there it is. Welcome. Welcome to you, to me. Welcome to any and all flesh-eating bacteria that may or may not be in the room. Welcome. Whoa, if I go in really close, it looks like my skin is really smooth. No, never mind. Then the lighting catches up. I'm gonna say like, look at me, I'm so smooth. No, because I don't have a good camera, so it adjusts. I can't. There we go. Okay. Good morning. Good morning. Hey, Stephanie. It took me a second. I was like, her name is Cake. What is her real name? I forgot what her real name was, but it's Stephanie. Hello, Stephanie. Good morning to you. Welcome to my morning streams. This is where I will be writing a thank you note to one of these. Well, in this case, none of these is an individual, but I will be writing a thank you note. I may or may not send it depending on who it is to, because, well, let's just get right down to it, and I'll start with letter B. Letter B is my high school teachers who taught me during a fraught contract negotiation. So, in, I guess, it was my senior year of high school, so it would have been 2007, the fall of 2007. My the teachers union for my district, which I don't know much about teachers union, so I don't really know how far it spread or what was up with it. But they were in negotiations for renewing their contract, I presume, with the district, and it just really looked like they were going to have to strike in order to get their I guess demands met. And it went right down to the wire, and then I just looked this up because I had no idea the details of what was going on at the time, but it went right down to the wire, and then the district finally made a proposal that the union could agree on, and then they decided to not strike. But throughout the whole time, there were union meetings going on at night, and there was tons of local coverage of it because it was obviously the biggest thing that was going on was a teacher strike threatening at least all the high schools in the area. Most of the people we played football against were in our district. That's probably not true. I don't know. There were a lot of high schools in that district, and so there were a lot of high school teachers that were threatening to strike. And I didn't even know it was going on at the time until the very last day. The last day that they said they would all start striking on a Friday if the negotiations did not go the way they wanted to. So on Thursday, the teachers who wanted to were like, okay, so here's the deal, class. We might not come to school tomorrow, and here's what we're going to do in case that happens. And they came up with sort of educational contingency plans, here's what is going to change about your deadlines, or here is going to be what I'm going to have the subs do, or whatever. I don't know. I don't even know what happens. Are subs considered what are those, scabs? If they cross the picket line? Who teaches in that case? So I have a friend who was a teacher who striked, and I guess they just didn't go to school. So maybe that's what would have happened. Is like school just wouldn't have happened. But I imagine maybe the subs are part of the union too. Who knows? But that was when I heard about it, and the teachers were definitely like not talking about it probably because they weren't allowed to, I would imagine. But like when I went home that night and was like, did you know the teachers might strike? We might not have school tomorrow. And my mom had some things to say, and I think my mom had some things to say. You know, in my head, I attribute them to my mom, these things that she said, but it could have been anyone like on the news or anybody's parents talking. And I don't really remember for sure who it was saying, but you know, they had a lot of bad things to say about teachers who were going to go on strike. And I think to this day, I'm aware of all the bad things that people say about teachers who go on strike. But I also, like I said, know teachers who have gone on strike, and they never do it for as flippant reasons as people like suggest that they do. And I'm sure that's true for most anybody who goes on strike. But I think things get a little fraught with teachers and certain other unioned people, occupations, I guess, because of the kids being involved, the children. And people are like, you have to do it for the children, and then what is this doing for the children? And you're ruining our children's lives, etc. And the reason I want to thank my high school teachers who taught me during that time was they did it very professionally. I obviously didn't know what was going on, and I don't remember it really affecting. I mean, clearly, I went on to go to college, and I went on to go to grad school even, and I loved school, and I loved my senior year. So I don't know how much they were to this day. I don't know how much teachers in that area are appreciated. They make a bit of money, teachers in that area. It is, or at least they did when I was in school. It is a rather affluent area, or at least it was when I was in school. And so the school that I went to could afford to pay their teachers, especially their teachers who were also like coaches or something else as well, could afford to pay their teachers pretty well. And I think that was the problem that people had with them striking, was like, you get paid very well. What could you possibly be asking for? And I don't know what they were asking for, because I went back and I looked for the negotiations, for information on the negotiations and like what was being argued about. And I didn't really get a clear answer that I understood. And also, well, maybe the union meetings were public. I sort of remember a video floating around, but I don't remember what they were. Anyway, I imagine that was a difficult time to be a teacher. And the reason I want to thank them is because I'm thinking now about teachers now. And I have a few friends and a couple family members who are teachers in this time that we are in. And every school is doing it differently. Every school is doing the going back to school situation differently. I have one friend who goes back to school today. Oh, I've forgotten about that. They're starting virtual, but I think they are. I think they're starting virtual. She said they were. And I have one friend who teaches in the area who we've been virtual for a little while, but we're planning on going back to school physically within the next couple of weeks, depending on the district. And it's just a fraught time. Oh yeah, the lady in our Discord who has issues with her school. Yeah, so there's a woman in my Discord who is a teacher nearby, and it's just a rough time to be a teacher. I don't know that there's ever like a great time to be a teacher. Having been a teacher for like a hot second, there's a lot of things that go into it that make it difficult and not what you want it to be, which is why I stopped doing it after a hot second. Was like, oh, this isn't what I thought it was, and this isn't what I want to do. Um, because you grow up thinking, oh, teaching is fun. You get to like talk about things that you enjoy with children, and you get the summer off. And then I taught for a while, and I was like, there's a lot of paperwork that goes into this. Hello, Helene. Welcome. I think the stream works today. I'm proud of myself. And there's a lot of paperwork that gets involved, and a lot of bureaucracy, and a lot of stuff having to do with teaching in that way that I didn't realize I was going to have to be doing, and so I didn't do it. So I stopped, and I'm not a teacher. And the people who put up with that and continue to do it, I know that there are teachers who don't like their job and who aren't good at it. I've met some of them. I'm not like friends with them, but I've met some of them. But everyone I know who is a teacher works very hard, takes it very seriously, and loves their job. Even when I would be looking at it and saying, I do not love my job. So I have a lot of respect for teachers. And I just want to, if I send a thank you note to anybody, I would probably send it. There are a couple teachers in my high school who I remember, like whose names I remember and who I vividly remember. Like there's one teacher specifically that I remember teaching me at that time, and I could send a thank you note to him. There's also one teacher who wasn't teaching at the time. He had retired by that time, but he was pretty big in the union, I think, before he retired. But he was retired. I'm pretty sure he was retired. I think he was retired by the time. I don't think he retired after I left. I think he retired the year before I left. Anyway, so I could send the teachers always deserve a lot of love, and so I would send a thank you note specifically. If I were to send a thank you note specifically, it would probably be to that teacher whose name I remember and who actually I babysat as kids, so I could probably find his address. This chair is wheeling me backwards. And yeah, so that would be my. The dogs are doing something. It's like muddy outside, and so this whole dog door thing is sort of backfiring. I had closed it, but then they whined at it. Show me your paws, child. Show me your paws. Oh, they don't look too bad. No, you look cute. You look cute and not too dirty. You probably didn't go outside. You don't like the outside. You like the inside. She's an inside dog. That was so sweet. We sent personalized postcards to each student over the summer. Holy cow! My friend who teaches first grade, second grade, I can't remember. At some point, she like moved up with her kids, and I can't remember if she did that twice or did it once. But she teaches first or second grade, and she does that sort of thing. She like sends a letter, personalized letter, at the beginning of school, like before the beginning of school, to like introduce herself and like sort of tell kids like what they can expect and that sort of thing. And she doesn't handwrite every letter, but she like hand addresses, and like a postcard once a week is wild. That's wild. I don't even do that to my friends. So how many kids were in that class? Like I don't mean to be like mean to Alaska, but like are there a lot of kids in that class? Because I can't even write. I write a single postcard a week, a single postcard to a single like entity a week, and that's a lot for me. Some of them, not gonna lie, some of them are sitting right here because I never got the addresses. I'm working on it. Anyway, so that is letter B. Is my teachers who taught me during a fraught contract negotiation and an almost strike in when I was in high school. 10 kids in the class. That's still a lot of 10 postcards a week. That's writing 2 a day, like a weekday. Okay, that's sort of doable, I guess, but like still a commitment. And you know that the week a kid doesn't get a postcard is a bad week, so you cannot miss. You cannot miss that week. Maybe you could like get friends to write postcards too. wonder if you would write the same postcard to every kid, like come up with a message and then just write it 10 times. Oh, that's wild. That's too much. That's too much to think about. You should send a thank you note to that teacher, but she wasn't my teacher, nor was she my daughter's teacher. So I hope your daughter did. I hope you taped them all to the wall. All the same handwriting. Teachers have good handwriting too, generally speaking. I don't remember a single teacher whose handwriting was bad, except for maybe gym teachers, because they didn't have to do that much writing. Like every other teacher has to like write on the board and write notes in your things, and like even my math teachers had really good handwriting. Whatever. Moving on. The next set of people that I may write a thank you note to is HelloFresh. HelloFresh, if you are unaware, is okay, so I don't mean to like be mean about gym teachers. I just think my gym teachers didn't have great handwriting. It's fine. Didn't understand her comments or couldn't read them, because not understanding them is a different issue. Maybe I did have one teacher who had bad handwriting. Professors, that's a whole different bag. Like professors have universally bad handwriting. I had one professor, loved her in can't remember if it was grad school or I can't remember if it was grad school or undergrad, but her handwriting was very bad. And like I always wanted to know what she was writing, because she would write like meaningful things on her essays that would be helpful for like the next essay we wrote. I just had no idea. I just never had any idea. And we would like collect them together as like classmates and be like, what do you think this is? Is this an A or a U? Is this an F or an S? Like, it's wild. Anyway, HelloFresh. HelloFresh, if you are unaware, is a meal kit delivery service. One of those, if you're unfamiliar with the concept, is one of those boxes that they ship to you on a schedule that you decide, and they ship you the ingredients for a certain number of meals that you decide. And HelloFresh is one that I used for a while. I don't use it anymore, but it was the one. I tried Blue Apron once because I had a coupon code. I mean, who doesn't have a coupon code for Blue Apron? If you need one, hit me up, because I'm sure I've got one somewhere. If you want one for HelloFresh, I definitely have one of those, so hit me up on that. But I used it for a while. We don't use it anymore. We stopped before the pandemic because okay, so we'll start out with some problems that I have with meal kit delivery services that I have experienced, is that they don't send you whole ingredients. They send you exactly the amount of ingredients that you need for this meal. And that's like both a good thing, a wonderful thing, exactly what I want, and like not what I want at all. So it's exactly what I wanted when I signed up for HelloFresh, because I hate grocery shopping. And at the time, I was very bad at using produce. Like anything leafy, anything that wasn't non-perishable, anything perishable, that's how you say that, it perished, perished quickly, because I just wouldn't use it all. And so I got HelloFresh specifically it was after we moved to Texas, and so we had big boy jobs and had like actual adult money. So I was like, hey, I'm going to use my adult money to do this very silly adult thing, which is have someone mail my groceries to me. Which now it's just like, why not? Everybody does it. But at the time, it felt very silly. And so they send you exactly the ingredients you need for meals that you can like pick from, but you can also just say like, I'm a vegetarian, only send me vegetarian things. Or like, I'm allergic to nuts, don't put any nuts in there, and that sort of stuff. And then you could make the meals. We always got, I think, 3 meals, and we would do it every like 2 to 3 weeks or so. And usually if you didn't make it within the week that you got it, something had gone bad, or like wasn't, something had wilted or something like that. But I tell you, the things that I learned from HelloFresh about A, just various ingredients that I never would have tried otherwise, and B, things that I learned to do with cooking that I never would have learned otherwise. Um, it it was life changing. Life changing alone. The one thing that is alone, the one thing alone that is life changing. I can't think of how to word this sentence, but one thing that is in and of itself a changer of my life is the concept of grilling cheese. Have you ever heard of grilling cheese? This is not a rhetorical question. If you get this question and you have an answer that is not no, please let me know. I mean, if you have an answer that is no, obviously prove me right. Oh, you have heard of grilling cheese. But anyway, grilling cheese. I have, it's sort of like, it's a sort of gummy, springy cheese on its own, like halloumi. Halloumi is an example of a kind of grilling cheese, but it is not. I've never actually found the grilling cheese that they sent us because it didn't have a brand and it was just called grilling cheese. And when you look up, if you just look up grilling cheese, you find things like halloumi. But I did eventually settle on a good substitute that I can buy in a grocery store nearby, which is Whole Foods. And I don't love shopping at Whole Foods, but I mean, now I do it all the time again because they deliver, but whatever. Whole Foods has a thing called bread cheese. And I don't know why it's called bread cheese, but what it does is you can grill it on like on a skillet. You can grill it on a skillet. Fry it, not bread it or try to keep it together in any way, and it'll stay together, but it'll still get sort of like gooey. And it is like it's very bad for you, I would imagine, because it is just straight up cheese. But you cut it into little cubes and you grill it as little cubes, and then you can stick it on top of a salad, and suddenly a salad is a thing you want to eat. I mean, we would put it on. We would make like couscous, like big Israeli couscous, the bigger couscous. I mean, anything. And you would add some and you'd roast some like shallots. Is that what I'm thinking of? The little onions, and some chickpeas, and then you'd throw together a little salady thing like arugula and diced tomatoes and vinegar and maybe some no, that's it. That's all I can think of. And so then you would stir all that stuff together, and then you'd put the grilling cheese on top of it, and life changing. I'm telling you, life changing. Basically, whenever we make something that doesn't have a presupposed cheese to it, so if you're making a Greek salad, you want to put feta on it. And if we have feta, we will put feta on it. If you're making a sort of caprese salad, I sound so bougie right now, but whatever. If you're making a caprese salad, you want to put mozzarella cheese on it. I mean, we always use sprinkly mozzarella cheese, but whatever. It's the same stuff. And then, but if we're making something else that doesn't have a preset, this is the cheese that should go on this, or this is the topping that should go on this, or whatever, or if it doesn't already have cheese in it, as a concept, you wouldn't put this on pizza or whatever, we will put grilling cheese on it, and it's very good. It's expensive cheese, but I I don't spend a lot of money on fancy things, but I spend money on cheese. So anyway, HelloFresh taught me about that. Taught me about this amazing cheese. It taught me how to cook in a way. I mean, I knew how to subsist on cooking before. I was surviving. I was not starving. My food was not terrible, but I learned a lot, and I don't rely on the crock pot as much now. So there's sort of a two-pronged thing to that. So when I was in Pittsburgh at a job, I worked all day, and sometimes I would work late into the night. Well, late into the night, I would work until 7 or 8. And so then there was just no chance that I was going to cook after that. So I would frequently, if I knew that was going to happen, I would put a meal in the crock pot. I would like have prepared it all, and then I would just put it in a crock pot before I went to work, and then come home and go to bed and didn't have to cook. And so now I don't have that kind of job, so I don't have to do that anymore. So I don't. So then I was like, oh no, all of my recipes that I know how to make are crock pot ones. What do I do? And then I got HelloFresh, and then I was like, ooh, now I have better recipes. So we don't get HelloFresh anymore because it just seemed silly to because there's never any leftovers. They like I'm telling you, they give you exactly what you need and nothing more. Except they give you way more garlic than you need, and they always give you like 3 little cloves of garlic, and there's like shrink wrapped, and it's like weird. So it is wasteful sometimes, and if you can't figure out how to use what few ingredients are left over. But it was so nice. It was so nice to come home and like know exactly what I was gonna cook, not have to think about it too much. It was fun. I enjoy cooking occasionally. I sometimes, under certain conditions, like cooking. And HelloFresh made those conditions much more likely to occur. It was like I didn't have to think about it. I had all the ingredients. I didn't have to like try to figure something out. The planning was all done for me. The grocery shopping was all done for me. Like all of those things go into me enjoying cooking. So it made it possible for me to like cooking. So we cooked more, had a lot of more homemade meals. That was nice. Now we just have homemade meals because the world is on fire, so we don't go out there. I say this, but we ordered Mexican last night. Whatever. Letter C. People I would thank. Stacey Vanek Smith and Cardiff Garcia are the hosts of a little podcast called I'm Always Thinking Podcasts on here, but that just tells you what my life is like. They're the hosts of a little podcast known as The Indicator from Planet Money. Planet Money is a podcast and a radio program, I believe, for NPR, National Public Radio. And they do mostly economics stories. So Planet Money is frequently talking about various industries or certain certain economic trends, or like they do things like talk about Bitcoin and do these various things that demonstrate various economic concepts, but they talk sort of big picture. They do a lot of big picture stuff, and I think they're either weekly or like bi-monthly or something like that. But the Indicator is every day, every weekday, and they do very shorter podcasts, and they talk about something that's happening like right now, economically. So the last few months, you can sort of guess what that's been about. But the reason I want to thank the hosts is because they're just excellent. They are fantastic hosts. They have a really great radio chemistry. They just make my day. they just make jokes that that each other really appreciates, and really only the other person really appreciates. So they did. It was last week sometime. They did an episode where they talked about various economic concepts, using quotes from Shakespeare, because Cardiff evidently is a big Shakespeare nut. And so Stacey had come up with all these quotes that she had changed to represent like economic concepts, and then she would make him guess what Shakespeare play they were from. So he would first have to decipher what the quote was, what quote it was based on, and then like figure out what the Shakespeare play that it was from. It was just, they're so, you feel like they're friends, and so you feel like you're like hanging out with friends. And I like economics. I almost minored in it, but and so I think that the topics are fascinating too. But I really appreciate their way of doing it, and their way of talking about it, because it's very human, and personal and funny. Um, they they bought, so Cardiff is sort of a wild child. He has a, I don't know, he just has like a sort of devil may care way about him, and he seems to enjoy sort of the riskier things about economics and stock trading and stuff like that. And so for Christmas, for his Christmas present, the team of the Indicator bought him a junk bond. And if you don't know what a junk bond is, you should listen to their episodes about junk bonds. But basically, they are bonds that are very high risk, they are likely to not pay out, and they are very high reward. So they have they because they are high risk, they have to offer a higher interest rate on your return um, in order to like entice you to get them. But they are generally for companies that are on the verge of bankruptcy, maybe have gone bankrupt before, are not highly rated, and so aren't expecting much. And there's a very strong likelihood that they will die, that this company will go bankrupt. And so for Christmas, they bought him a junk bond, and they gave it a name. They called it Becky with the Good Yield. And then, of course, the company went bankrupt because Kelvin. So they went back and talked about it. They renamed it, and I can't remember what its new name is because they got a new, now their bond turned into stock in the new company. So the company went bankrupt and started over, and their bond, because they couldn't get it paid back because the company went bankrupt, their bond became stock in the new company. And so they renamed it, but I forget what it is. It's not as good as Becky with the Good Yield because that's pretty good. Anyway, they're just silly and great, and I love listening to them. I love their podcast, and it's great to love a podcast that is daily because you never run out. Really, I listen to it literally every day. I have like a handful of podcasts that are daily, and yeah. So those ones I always listen to first to make sure that I don't fall behind, and I really like them as hosts and also their podcast. So those are all the people that I may or may not thank today. So let us find out who I'm going to thank. Results, we have 6 of them. Okay, wow, all right. Nobody wants me to thank HelloFresh. That's fair. I don't know anybody who works there. It would have been sort of weird. My high school teachers who taught me during the fraught contract negotiation got 5 votes, so I'm going to be thanking them. So I could write it to Mr. Schaefer because he is the teacher that I remember talking about it. And I also I have this memory of a video of him at a union like meeting, but I don't remember why I would have seen that video, and so I may just be making that up. I don't know. But my hair is squeaky. Why is my hair squeaky? Oh, and I gotta stretch again. Stretch with me. Stretch, big stretch, big stretch. Ooh, very beautiful faces. Okay, so I could give him a postcard, which he's my English teacher, so I could give him a Queen of England postcard, but he wasn't that kind of English teacher. My face just there was a little bit dark. So I'm just going to write him a card, the blank one. What color should it be? I thought of him as a sort of red guy. So we got red. We got a pen from our, oh wait. I thought this was the Texas Municipal Court Education Center pen. A AmathusLimassol.com. I don't know, I must have stolen from somebody. Whoops. Dear Mr. Schaefer, I can't remember how many F's or anything. I can't remember how to spell this man's name. Dear Mr. Schaefer. And when I babysat his kids, it was after high school, and he was like, please, don't call me by my last name. Call me by my first name. And I was like, no. No, not doing that. So now that I'm 30 years old, I'm still going to refer to him as Mr. Schaefer. What's the date? It's the 3rd. Okay. I was just thinking the other day about the near strike, the almost strike, the contract negotiations. You and your union went through in the fall of 2007. I really appreciate looking back how you and all the other teachers did your job well, or I don't know. Now that I'm writing this, it sounds really like it could go either way, Like it sounds like if I were to receive this from a general stranger who I haven't seen in like 20 years, well, 10, 15, something like that, I would think either this is very passive aggressive, this is very random, which is what it is. This is the answer. It is random. Or they are trying to tell me something. It's like they're trying to speak to me. I know it. I hope it's not the recycling truck, because I still need to put the recycling out. Okay. I really appreciate how you and all the other teachers handled that difficult time. Teaching is hard. And now I'm going to turn it over. This is a first. I'm writing on the back, but I just wrote too big on this time. Teaching is hard, and now more than ever, I appreciate how much teachers give their students at times when it would be easier not to. When it, not easier, when it might be tempting not to. Because I don't want to say like the people who ditch out or make it easy. Yeah, that might not be. Oh man, there's no way of saying this that doesn't sound like I'm bashing teachers right now, which is just not what I'm doing. I might have to sit on this one. I might have to not send this one because I don't know that there's a good way of saying it. Teachers give their students at times, but it might be tempting not to. Teaching is hard, and now more than ever, I appreciate how much teachers give their students at times, but it might be tempting not to. I don't even know if that's a real sentence. This is bad because I'm sending it to my English teacher, but whatever. Thank you for simultaneously standing up for yourself and your rights as a worker. Simultaneously standing up for yourself and your rights as a worker, and also treating your students. I don't know if that's treating your students with care and dignity. Thanks. I remember it. Then I'll put the class of 08. Casey forgot me, which will be allowed. He's allowed to forget me. So I taught for again like a second, and I had a kid who I taught for like a second, who was working at the hotel that I stayed at when I got married. And he was at the like counter, and I super duper recognized him. I could not think of his name, and I think he recognized me, but like also I was wearing a wedding dress. I'm fairly certain. So like I think he like didn't even try. And this was like I got married. It was at least a year after I graduated. Well, it was a year after I graduated, so it was at least a year after I taught this kid. And so I still cannot remember his name. I could definitely pick him out of the crowd, but like names, I'm done with names. I forgot all of them. I like kept some of the stuff from when I taught. I was a student teacher. That is what I mean by I taught for like a second. I taught literally for like a blip of like 5 months, and I kept some of the stuff from that somewhere. And I have a really fantastic, like, I gave the kids a survey at the end where I was like, tell me what I could do better. And I got a really fantastic one. And I can't remember, I could pick the kid out of a crowd. Again, I could recognize his face, but I do not remember his name. And if he told me his name, I'd be like, okay. Like, I don't know. I'd probably recognize faces, but names I wouldn't be able to. Some people are the other way around, so maybe he'll be able to recognize me. I don't know. But I still have to find his address and decide whether I'm going to send it. Anyway, and now I'm going to go put my recycling out before the recycling truck gets here. It's been a joy and a dream streaming with you all. Come and join me tomorrow for Flashback Friday. Last week we had just so much fun watching Getty Images footage from like the early 1900s, the 1930s. Thanks for joining the stream, Helene. And so tomorrow promises to be great too. I'm sure a lot of really fun things happen this day in history, or tomorrow in history as well. Tomorrow in history. It's a weird sentence. Anyway, make good choices, don't do drugs, and stay in school, and tip your waitstaff.